Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 490. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Known for fostering innovation and building trust and loyalty with internal teams, as well as external customers and communities. As founder of Ltrice Consulting, welcome Latricia Trice.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your consulting business?
Absolutely. I have 20 years of marketing experience. Started my career working in nonprofit marketing and then moved on to corporate marketing. And a year and a half ago, I decided to transition from corporate life and start my own marketing communications consulting agency. We're a full service marketing agency that works with businesses across sectors, primarily small and mid-size, on their marketing strategy as well as execution. So I have on my team of creatives from design to content creation to digital marketing that are on my team. And so we support our clients based off of their business growth objectives.
And talk about your day quit. Talk about you preparing to actually say, I'm going to bet on me.
Yeah, so after pandemic, I felt like a lot had changed. I was very much career driven. And, my goal was one day I want to get to executive level within a company. And where I was at it was a big company. So I was at the early management stage at that organization. And, things were fine. But after a pandemic, I just felt like it was time for a change. And, you get to a place where you don't feel comfortable anymore. And you feel like this isn't what is for me anymore. And what I was passionate about or what I thought I wanted, it just no longer gave me life. I was also turning 40 around this time. So I was turning 40. And so I was just at a pivotal point in my life where it was like, you know what, we're going to take a leap. And the opportunity presented itself for me to be in a position to bet on myself. And I'm married, so financially I was okay in a place to be able to do it. And so took the leap. Once I got my first client, then it just kept growing. Like it just took that one. And I was able to leverage my reputation and the work that I had done in my community brand to be able to grow my clientele. And it just skyrocketed. And that's how I knew I was where I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to be doing in this next professional stage of my life.
Advice you wish you had followed?
I would say just do it. I think as I was transitioning into being an entrepreneur, I was nervous because you don't know. Well, one, like if you've built your brand around who you are within a company or you've always worked for somebody and you've been known based off of who you work for and what you do. And then you have to transition to people just knowing you for you and like the brand that stands behind you. You get nervous. I think, for me, I was nervous about taking that leap. And I feel like for entrepreneurs that don't always have confidence in what they bring to the table, even though they've given that to companies for many years, I feel like you got to recognize the strength that's inside of you and use that to grow your business and to even start your business. And it's a confidence builder. So I think for me early on, if I would have just been a little bit more confident and like, you can do this, I would have started even sooner.
Talk about your top 2 mentors, influencers, and what lessons did they teach you?
Yeah, so one of my mentors is a woman named Candace Matthews, and she's a Black woman who is phenomenal. I followed her career early on, like years before I even got to know her, but she is an executive. She worked in marketing for many years, worked with a lot of big brands, and she had moved to my community. And I heard her speak, and I was oh my God, who is this woman? She's amazing. I ended up working at the company that she was at as a leader, and she was a leader at this company in our community. And I started working there, got to know her. And over time, we became friends. And so she's really poured into me, really helped encourage me, and to see someone that was older than me and was Black and confident in who she was and had an amazing career. She's just become not only a mentor, but she's a dear friend and very thankful to have her in my life. Another person that stood out to me. Now, I don't personally know her, but she came at the right time in my life, her content that she produced. A woman named Minda Hart, she wrote a book called The Memo, and then she wrote the book Right Within. And that was the first time I heard a voice that spoke about the experience of Black women in corporate America. And she spoke to experiences that I had, and she told the stories of other women. And once I read her content, I couldn't stop reading it because I was like, one, she's engaging, but two, her content just spoke to me. And I felt like I finally met somebody virtually through reading her content that understood the experience of a Black woman. And it was life-changing.
Speaking of brands and marketing, there's so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or business that's dominating that you admire and why.
I would say a brand that I admire is actually Instagram. I love Instagram. I think that it does a good job of, it's more than just the platform of, where people can post content, but it really helps to keep you current on what you need to know. I love like the algorithms and how they've done it and how they've like created something to make people want to continue to come back. A lot of the content that I digest comes from Instagram as well as like Facebook, because it's all meta. But I just think that they've just done a really good job of introducing like AI analytics and how they've used that to grow this big empire. That's a brand that, I watch to see what's new, what's coming, what are they doing? And then really, how do you leverage it for business as well?
What problem exists in the world today that you'd like to solve?
I will say a problem that we struggle with is economic empowerment. I feel that there's obviously the haves and the have-nots, and there are so many people don't just need a handout, but they need a lift up. Like they need somebody to lift them up. And I think like the work around social impact and social responsibility is so important, especially as an entrepreneur. It's so important to be able to look at not only are you giving back to your community, but how are you empowering the employees that are under you? Like how are you helping to help the people that serve in your companies thrive? I think that's something that's important.
I would like you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've inspired you so much. Who is that person and what are you saying to that person?
My person is Jesus. And I would just say thank you. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your grace. And thank you for creating me to be who you designed for me to be.
Talk about marriage and entrepreneurship.
I think that when you are an entrepreneur and you are married, it's really important to have a spouse that supports your vision. They support your dream. They encourage you. They uplift you. And like for me, my husband is phenomenal. I am who I am because of him. He is one of those people that says to me, go be your best self. Go, if you dream it, do it, figure it out. Like you can do it. And I really like being a mom of 3 and a wife. I couldn't do what I do when it comes to business or even community engagement if I didn't have a supportive spouse. It really is everything.
Speaking of motherhood, let's talk about motherhood and entrepreneurship.
So it is work to be a mom and to be an entrepreneur. I think that you can never have balance. I don't believe that you can have like this perfect balance in everything that you're doing, but I do believe that you can give your attention to whatever is pressing in the moment. So as an entrepreneur, I've had to learn I can't work all day, all night. Like I need to have an off switch so that I can be present for my kids. It may require me to spend a few hours with them. And then when they go to bed, then I'm up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's okay. But, I always think about that you can never get back the memories that you don't create with your kids as they're growing up. And so I never want my kids to look back and say, yeah, my mom helped us, have a good life. And she always worked hard, but she was never there. That would be one of my worst fears. So I think you gotta figure it out as a parent and as an entrepreneur, but really lean into what's most important. And I feel like family's most important.
How do you make impact daily?
I make impact daily, I would say, by the way I live my life. I'm one of those type of people that I believe in the gift of life. I believe in giving back to others. I believe in empowering other people, encouraging other people. And I like to make sure that any interaction that somebody has with me, they feel like I left that conversation feeling good, feeling empowered, feeling inspired because of our interaction. And so I try to be very intentional about that. It's like, how am I showing up in every place that I walk into, and how and what impact am I leaving on people when they interact with me?
And I'd like you to have a monologue. And what I'd like you to do is talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I would say to the younger Latricia, don't be afraid to be you. It doesn't matter if you're the only person that looks like you in the rooms that you're in the spaces that you occupy. Walk boldly and confident in who you are, and know that your difference is what makes you you. You don't ever have to feel like you're an imposter. You don't have to walk around with that syndrome. Be bold in who you are and hope in walking that boldly.
And who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is a business that is looking to grow. They have a passion for growing their organization, or maybe their organization is growing, but they want to continue to keep it healthy, and they need support in marketing. They are small to mid-size and they have a healthy revenue, but they don't necessarily have the team support. So they may have a marketing team, but it's small, or they may not have a marketing person. Maybe they only have like a communication coordinator, and they know to go next level, they really need to improve their brand and enhance their marketing. Those are the kind of clients that are ideal for us.
Let's take a snapshot of the last 30 days. What was your incredible win?
The last 30 days, I got to see the company continue to grow well. We had hit a high revenue goal for that month within the past 30 days. That was a win. I hired a full-time employee. I've been very busy as an entrepreneur, and I really needed somebody that could be a marketing integrator that could help project manage all the work that our team has going on, and to start to take some work off of me so I can focus more on strategy and client relationships. And I was able to hire a talented individual who is now on the team working full time. And so that was a huge win. I'm a year and a half into business, and to be at that milestone where I could bring in somebody at a higher level full time was such a huge win.
Congratulations. How do you celebrate, or how did you celebrate the win?
That's something I have to work on. I don't slow down to celebrate. I keep it moving. But no, I celebrated in the sense of, I just had a moment to reflect and really to take a moment to step back and look at, where has the business grown? What have we done over the year and a half? And just take a moment in that milestone to say, wow, we're here. This is where the business is at. And for me, it's just reflection. It was reflection. And I think I went out to eat with my family. Like, yeah, because they're like, Mom got time now, a little bit more time. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. We're going to talk about an attitude of gratitude, and I call this a thank fest. And I want you to thank people and situations that has impacted and inspired your life. Have at it.
There's a couple of people. So one, I want to thank a woman named Mickey. When I was a young person, I was in like 8th or 9th grade. There was a youth leader at my church, and her name was Mickey, and she went to Michigan State. And she was the person that introduced me to college, aside from A Different World, because that's where I first learned about college, the TV show. But she introduced me to college. And not only did she introduce me to college, but she took me on campus. She let me stay with her in her apartment. And she just made such an impact on my life. I ended up going to Michigan State when I graduated. And it really was because I got to see up close from her mentorship what it was like to be a college student. And I also got to see the impact that you can make on somebody younger than you, the power of mentorship. And so I am forever thankful for her and how she invested in me as a young person. Another person I would thank is my husband, Robert. My husband, Robert, is phenomenal. And I am just so thankful for all the support that he gives me, all the love that he shows. He never tries to hold me down, but he's always uplifting me. And I'm thankful for who he is, just not only as a husband, but as a person. And lastly, I want to thank my team. My team is phenomenal. My Ltrice consulting team, they work so hard. They are so passionate about what they do, and they're all in on helping to grow the business, and we are growing because of them. And I am just so thankful for all that they bring, their talents to the organization. Very appreciative.
Go green.
Go green.
So my son and daughter-in-law, they both graduated from Michigan State. And
Right.
so I have many memories. He was instrumental in you all getting your first ever NCAA soccer ring.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. I have flown there for day trips just to see the soccer game. So
That is so
definitely,
awesome.
yeah, go green. So what is your zone of genius?
That's a good question. So, my superpower is the ability to bring everything together. So, I am really good at taking all different pieces and parts and bringing it all together to make something happen. I can very comfortable sitting in a room. People are telling different ideas, different thoughts. So much is happening, and I can internalize all of it and say, all right, this is our plan forward. This is our next step. I am really good at that. And I didn't realize how good I was at it. And so people like, that's a gift that you can do that. And so I was like, oh, it's just natural. Like that's just how I think. And so, yeah, I would say I know how to bring it all together and to make things happen.
Let's talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone of good character, someone that loved her family, and she loved the community that was around her. She was a hard worker, and she not only looked to make an impact in her life, but she looked to make an impact in the lives of others. And she was intentional about everything that she did, and she left a mark.
Latricia, what is the best advice you were ever given?
The best advice that I held on to was there was a woman that had spoke at a professional event that I was at like years ago, earlier in my career. And something that she said that I just felt was so important was that no matter how high you go in your career and what impact you make, don't forget to look back and help the next person up. And that just resonated with me because I think so often we can be so focused on me, mine, that you forget to look out the window to see what's happening. So yeah, that's something that I've held on to for years. And another one that I held on to from a woman named Melinda Sapp. She was one of the greatest women that I ever met. Super just confident and bold. And she was a businesswoman and a wife and a mom and all these things. And I will never forget, she said, excellence is the standard, it's not the goal. And that mantra stuck with me forever. Like she probably said it in my 20s and I'm 41 and I will never forget. That is what I live my life by. And when I work, excellence is the standard. That's the benchmark. It's not the goal. Yeah, those are the two things.
What is the best decision you've made as a leader?
I think the best decision I've made as a leader is to be able to step back, to let other people step up. I think that oftentimes as a leader, it's easy to get the shine and want the shine just because you naturally get it. But a true leader is able to step back and let somebody else get visibility. And because that just shows who you are as a leader. It makes you look stronger as a leader. And so I think just being able to, because I'm an outgoing person and I don't mind speaking up or talking or things like that. But I've learned step back so somebody else can step up.
What do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
I would say time. I think, one of the things that I look at as an entrepreneur is I have all these thoughts and all these ideas of things that I want to do, but I only have 24 hours in the day. And, some of that needs to be sleep. If I had more time, which I don't, is really looking at how do I maximize the time that I have so that I can make the biggest impact in my days to move the needle forward, especially in business. I would say like that's a gift to be able to just have time because you're just always busy. And I do so many different things that I'm still trying to figure that out of like how to just figure out this time a little bit better and what to say no to as well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about, we know in business there's a lot of risk. Let's talk about an opportunity, the worst moment in business, and what was your takeaway?
I would say when I was just getting going, I was thinking about clients and what type of clients do I want to have. And, me being a marketer, I'm thinking about what clients do I want that has a higher name, a strong name. There were some times earlier in my career where I took on some clients and did work that it probably wasn't the best. It probably wasn't the best work that I could have taken on, especially when it starts to wrestle with, is this actually like good work that I should be doing, And I think if I could take it back, I probably would have said no to a couple things that I took on when I was just trying to get going. But it was a lesson learned. And it also helped me to understand that you don't have to take every opportunity as a business owner and, really live out your values as a company of what do you want to do and what are you willing to take on and be okay with that because clients will come. You don't need every client.
Is there a social cause attached to your business? I know you talked about the community and giving back. Is there a specific social cause that you support?
Yeah, so I actually sit on several boards and committees and give to different things. So one that I have a heart for is families and children. I adopted my youngest two daughters. I have three kids. I adopted my youngest two, and I serve on a board called Ltrice, which they're a statewide organization, nonprofit that supports families. They handle adoption and foster care and family preservation. And so that was one way that I've been able to give back is give up my time, go to events, paid events where I'm contributing by buying tickets, and then obviously just serving on the board and giving input. But family and children are something that I care about and just the health of that population.
What is something that we as business owners, we don't know about marketing that we should know?
I would say know your audience. Who are you talking to and who are you trying to reach? Understand your product or your service well and how it connects to the audience that you're trying to reach, and be clear on what you're selling and how you sell it. Focus on the need of the customers that you're going after, not just about pushing out what you're trying to sell. Figure out how are you solving a problem for someone else. And that's the best way to be able to grow in marketing.
Talk about your decision in naming your business. How did you come about naming your business?
Well, I wasn't that creative, I would say, because I thought I was going to be a solopreneur. I didn't necessarily know that I was going to grow into a full service marketing agency initially when I started. And so I thought I'm just going to put my name together because I think it's cute. And so I just came up with Ltrice Consulting. And really, the idea was that in addition to doing marketing, I wanted to do coaching, business coaching, and just general consulting if, entrepreneurs needed that. Because naturally people come to me and ask questions and I'm just social. And I'm always willing to give advice. And so I was thinking I can turn this into an actual business. So the name came from that. But now it represents the full service marketing agency. But within our full service, we do marketing projects for individuals. We have clients that they bring us on in a fractional model as their marketing department. But then I also still do coaching and consulting. So I coach and consult other business owners as well as just businesses that just need marketing coaching. So the name works, but I wasn't super creative. I was just like, oh, that's kind of cute. And
the beauty, it works.
Yeah.
Let's talk about raising capital. How did you raise capital? Or did you raise capital? Or did you bootstrap?
I bootstrapped. It's amazing. I always tell people my first check that I got last April, because when you initially start your business, I got my LLC and all that. And then I was like, okay, now I got to get clients. What am I going to do? Right. So I secured my first client. My first check that I got was $974. And I was like, oh my God, I got a check. But from there, it just rapidly grew. And within 6 months of doing business, I had already hit over six figures in revenue. I just bootstrapped it. I didn't have overhead. I didn't have high overhead. And I really was just getting paid for my knowledge and my services. And that's how it grew. And then I had a designer at the time that I used that was affordable. And so it didn't cut into my profits too bad. And yeah, just grew it.
What have you not done in life that you dream about often that you would like to do?
I love to travel and I love to speak. And I've done some motivational talks and things like that. And one of my goals one day is I would love to be able to go to Essence Fest and be on the business panel and be one of the people that they talk to about my success, how I did it, my journey. And so for me, that's something that is like when you growing up reading these publications and reading these other entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals is something that was very prevalent in my home, where my dad always ordered the Ebony, the Jet, the Essence. And so one day it will be amazing to be able to go to Essence Fest outside of just being a visitor and be a part of the experience.
Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Full circle experience. Talk about your why. Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I love it. I am very passionate about marketing. I'm very passionate about communications, and I'm very passionate about building a legacy that I can leave behind to my family. I want to build a life that I dream of and to have financial freedom. And so that really is my motivation every day when I get up to work is I am building the life that I have dreamed of. And so that's why I do what I do.
Now, when you went to college, did you major in marketing? Did you have that plan? That's what you wanted to do?
So when I went to college, I majored in communications. And so I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And my dad used to get, my mom and dad used to get like the Enquirer. So I grew up with all the publications in my house. I wanted to actually be a publicist. I really thought that like one day I had it that I was going to go to California. I wanted to be a publicist for celebrities. Like that was my dream for whatever reason. But then I got my first job right after college. Right, actually, before I graduated, I got a job offer, and it kept me in Michigan. It brought me to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and that's when I learned marketing. And once I got introduced to marketing, and I realized how much work it takes to be a publicist, I was like, "Oh no, I'm in the wrong. I got the wrong vision. I don't want to be a publicist. I want to do marketing." And I just fell in love, and that really just like being introduced to it in the first job, it just grew my career from there.
Talk to and about the person in your lineage that has really inspired you.
I would say it's my parents. So my parents, one, my dad they were young when they had me. So my mom had me at 18. Her and my dad got married, but they were young couple. And my dad decided to be an entrepreneur and he started his own business. He was a tool and die designer and later went on to be a licensed contractor. But he started his own business. So I saw my dad working at night, building up his business. Just he worked so hard. And I saw the fruits of what he was doing. And then my mom, she didn't, when she had me, she dropped out of school. She didn't graduate high school. I mean, she later went back and got her degree, but she dropped out. And I saw how hard she worked to create a good life for us and how she was always motivating me and encouraging me. Like my mom would always say, you're going to be somebody one day, you're going to do something and you're going to be great. And so just having that, like parents like that, they were regular middle class working people, but they just worked so hard and they just were always encouraging me. And it was, my dad, they didn't go to college, but they were like, if you want to go to college, we support you. And so my parents have always been the people that I could go to that cheer me on, have cheered me on to be who I desire to be and to be successful. And I learned from them. I learned hard work. I learned character. I learned generosity. I learned faith and how important it is for my parents.
What book would you recommend and why?
I would say personally, if it's like a woman, particularly a woman of color, I would recommend The Memo. I absolutely love that book by Minda Hart. It was great. If you want something related to marketing, I recommend anything Seth Godin. He is amazing, like so smart. He's a genius. And I've learned a lot around a lot about marketing from him. Yeah. And so I would say those are like my two, anything that Seth and then Minda book is amazing.
If someone wrote a book about you, what is something that we would not know about you that we should know about you?
Well, okay, this is like really light, but I wanted to be, so how I said like I wanted to be a publicist. And if people didn't know me, they wouldn't know that I'm a pop culture maven behind the scenes. I love pop culture. I love watching commentary. I love watching YouTube. I get lost and listening to The Breakfast Club in New York or watching different YouTube shows of people talking about whatever is in pop culture. And I actually wanted to do a Trisha's Rundown back in the day. And I was going to have my own channel and do all the different commentary that I want about the shows that I like to watch and just what's happening in pop culture. But I didn't do it. I decided not to do that. But that would be something that people didn't know. But, and it keeps me fresh. It keeps me current. Because even when you're watching things and you just see so much in all of that, you see like how people communicate, how people navigate different subjects. You see like how people bring creativity. And so it keeps me creative, but it is like a secret, especially because my husband and we pastor a church. And so you wouldn't think a pastor would be all into pop culture like that, but I am. I love it.
Thank you. What would you have done differently in starting your business?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I would have done anything differently outside of started sooner. But I think even in that, I started when I was supposed to start.
And let's talk about the future of your business. What do you see as the future for your business in terms of the next 2 years, 5 years? What do you hope to happen?
Yep. So within the next 3 years, I plan to continue to grow and scale to hit that million in revenue. That is a goal that I'm actively working towards. I want to grow my team a little bit more. I like being a small team, but there's a couple more subject matter experts that I want to add to the team. I want to expand my clientele, beyond just working with clients within Michigan. I have some clients like in Texas or in Atlanta. I really want to expand my clientele across the state, across the US, as well as grow into Canada and Europe. I want to be able to really be like a global company. I have a team that is very diverse. And that was something that was really important to me, is to make sure that my team looks like the customers that we're trying to help clients attract. I wanted to make sure we were very diverse in culture and race, as well as even in gender, ethnicity, all those things. But I want to be a global company in the sense of having global companies from around, or global clients from around the world. And so that is what my eyes are set on for the next 3 years, is how are we going to do it? What's our strategy? We do have a strategic plan, a 3-year strategic plan. And so I'm very intentional about strategy and execution. I always say you can have the best plan, but if you don't know how to execute it, it's just an idea. Very much committed to action, strategic action.
Thank you for that. If you could spend time with one person, living or not, who is that person that you would have dinner with, and what is the conversation that you're having?
Oh, absolutely. Michelle Obama. It would be Michelle. And I would ask her, I would tell her how fierce and amazing she is, because I love her. I think she's so great. But then I would just ask her, like, give me some wisdom. Like, what advice would you give someone, as a woman, as a professional? And then I would want to know, what was it like being the first lady? What experiences did you have that you can't talk about publicly? And yes, it would definitely be Michelle Obama, closely followed by Oprah. Those are the two.
Absolutely. And let's ask that question. What advice would you give to a businesswoman, a mother, someone that's wanting to aspire to be an entrepreneur? What advice would you give them?
I would say, do not spend too much time trying to create the best plan. You have to get going and be okay with failing forward. If you need to adjust your plan, you can do it as you go, but don't just sit on your idea waiting for it to be perfect. Do something, take that next step. And then the next step will grow to the other steps. So my advice would be, just do it, do something, get moving, and fail forward and get right back up and adjust.
What is that first wound that you experienced from a boss or a leader? Tell us about that experience.
I had an experience as a person of color in the workplace where I was experiencing, I would say, some targeting, some gaslighting, and it had gotten really intense. And I went to a boss and was telling them about my experience and saying, this is what's happening, like this is really happening. And they questioned my experience. I was not validated, even though I had examples of like what I was going through. And I think that was one of the hardest things, is that, and it was someone that I thought was for me, that I thought supported me. And really, when it came down to it, they didn't. And so that for me was a life lesson. It was very hard. It was, and it's one of those things that you hear about, but until you experience it, you don't understand it. And so that was something that was hard. That was definitely one of those things that, okay, this is hard. So yeah.
If you lost everything and you had to rebuild in 30 days, what industry and why? And what would you do?
I would do something service-based because that's the easiest. Service-based is the easiest type of work to do that you can just take your knowledge and your skills without needing a product and without having to have capital. So if it were me, I would probably do marketing because I feel like it's easy. It's an easy sell. It's easy sell if you know the work and you know the industry. Or I would do something that's tangible because people want something that they can walk away with. And so I would say probably marketing or HR would be a service-based industry that I would get in to help people and just sell it like crazy.
Speaking of marketing, there's so many individuals that indicate that they're into marketing, they know marketing. How do you vet the person to know that they really know marketing?
I go by the work that they've done. So I want to see the work, especially when it comes to design. A lot of people say they do design, but doing design on Canva is not the same as being like an expert designer. So, and I can tell when I'm looking at work. So I vet the work by like the actual like results that they've done. I vet work by content. So I'm reading content to see how strong you are as a writer. Now, granted, you can use AI and AI is great. I love it. But then even if you don't know how to massage that, you can tell that you didn't write that. Sometimes I care about what people, give me a testimonial or tell me, how has somebody experience been working with you. So that's really how I vet work. But I have a good eye just from working in the industry for so long that I can look and I can see someone's talent just by looking at what they deliver or even in conversation. Like I can tell like, okay, I think I can see whether you know what you're doing or if you're not quite ready to work for me yet because you're not there yet.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I'd like you to ask the question and answer it.
What do you like to do in your free time? How do you find time to unplug? And my answer to that is travel. I absolutely love to travel. I travel a couple times a year with my husband, and we also do family vacations. But that is really where I get refueled and get energy. A couple things that I've done is I went on my dream trip when I turned 40 to Africa. It was something that I had been planning for 5 years. And my friends and I and my husband went to Cape Town. It was a great experience to go and experience South Africa. And then I've been to Paris, I've been to Thailand. And so now I'm looking at adding more countries up. So we have this friend group that we go. It's like 3 other couples, and we pick different places every year that we're going to go somewhere outside of the US. And so I really get so much energy just from being around the people, but then also just exploring different cultures. That is something that gives me life. And I only need about like 2 to 3 trips a year, refuels me, and I'm good to go.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. And I'm going to give you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Yes.
Your favorite comfort food?
Mac and cheese.
The last movie you saw?
Pass.
You relax doing what?
Taking power naps.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
I'll say Beyonce.
Your favorite dance song?
Oh, I like Cha Cha Slide.
What food do you eat every week, no matter what?
Tacos.
Your ideal car?
Infinity QX60.
Workout or hit the couch?
Hit the couch watching workouts.
Latricia Trice, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and to do business with you. Feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Absolutely. So you can visit my company's website at ltriceconsulting.com. Follow me, friend me on LinkedIn under Latricia Trice, and then follow me on Instagram under Tricia Trice and Ltrice Consulting.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.